and welcome to A Cup of Conversation on BRT2 TV. My name is John Ghazi, and in the studio this week we have two very special guests, and we're talking about nature, biology, we're talking about birds, kushkor, sport, fisheries. It's a very interesting subject, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Robin Snape, who sent in two volunteers, in inverted commas, volunteers, to sit in his place because he's so busy at the moment with his work. He couldn't join us in the studio, and we've been trying to catch Robin, but he's, as I said, very, very busy. But I'm very happy, very honoured to have Amie Wheeldon and Jason Savage, who are stepping in today to talk about their work here in the Tyrone Sea regarding, well, wildlife in general. So let's welcome you guys. Amie and Jason, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
First of all, Amie, you were recently here on the radio with my colleague Denise Phillips.
Yeah.
And so you're quite used to the BRT setup. But I think you guys were quite surprised to be stuck in the studio when normally you're out there on location. Maybe you've been interviewed many times, and you're normally in your own habitat. Yeah. And now I've dragged you out of the wildlife into this very, very dry, boring studio. But thank you guys for coming in to BRTK today. You've both been here in the Tyrone Sea before. It's not a first time that you're here. Amie, tell us about your background. Where are you from originally in the UK?
Near Manchester, Stockport. But yeah, I've been coming here for, I don't know, maybe the past 10 years. My mum lived here for 6 years in Lapta. And I was involved with the Turtle Project twice in 2013 and 14, and now I'm managing this project for the winter. Well, it's not really winter anymore, but
spring.
Yeah, winter, spring, kind of summer.
When did you arrive here then?
I came. The first stint was in November, December, and then I went home for a couple of weeks at Christmas, and then I came back in January.
So is this part of your research that you're doing now, or
it's extra?
Extra.
Yeah, so I'm doing a PhD through a university in Poland, actually. I lived there for a year last year.
Interesting.
And because I know Robbo, a job offer came up to volunteer to do this, and yeah, I took it, and well, he gave it me, and so I'm doing it on the side as extra experience.
Right, and here you are.
Here I am.
Here you are, you're stuck in the game.
Yay!
And Jason, or Sav, as you are locally known here in the TRNC, you've also been here before. Where are you from originally, Jason?
So I'm from just outside of Birmingham, a small town called Solihull.
And this is your third year in North Cyprus?
Yeah, it's my third year. My first year I came out was 2012, and then we just missed each other because Amie came out in 2013, 2014, and then I came back in 2015. And this is the third time since 2015, yeah. So
third time lucky, and here you are together again. Yeah. And are you also doing your own research project here, or what's your link with Robin and what's going on with Kushkor and Spot and the fisheries?
I've worked with Robin in the past through Spot out here in the Turtle Project, and since then I've done quite a bit of work with fisheries in various locations, and so when the opportunity came up for a fisheries observer for Cyprus to start collating data in this area, I contacted Robin, said if there's any possible opportunities, and was offered the position. Initially, I was only out here for 2 months. I actually then went home, and Robin got me back out, so gave me a bit more responsibility as the lead observer now, and I'm here. Not sure when I'm going yet, but I'm here.
You're here at the moment?
Yes, yeah.
Now, the reason why I contacted Robin, actually, he contacted me saying about, talking about his article. And let's talk about that because it's to do with fisheries. And he was very, very, adamant about talking about his article related to dolphins and the fishermen's nets and competing for the food, lack of food off the coast of North Cyprus. And that's the snowball for, I wanted him to come in. He said I could make it. Obviously, it's fantastic to have you guys here as well. So you are now, in place of Robin, and he's lost his chance to speak about this. But is your research do more mainly with marine life?
Yes. So what we're doing out here with the fisheries is we are going out with the fishermen, and our main sort of objective is to monitor any bycatch. So if they're catching any turtles or sharks or rays, any kind of elasmobranchs. If there is anything bigger like dolphins in the nets, we haven't had anything like that so far, but again, we take data on that. And secondary to that, what we're doing is we are observing what they catch. So the sort of species abundance and where they're actually fishing. So we're trying to build up a picture of where the most heavily fished areas are, what sort of fish they're actually catching in those areas, and what kind of bycatch species they're actually encountering in those areas.
Over 20 years ago, when Spot was first established, and with the University of Exeter, I think, as well, and Brendan Godley was, I remember interviewing him years and years ago on location. It was originally to do with the, the turtles here. Is this now sort of like an extension of what's going on, not just looking at the turtles, but how everything, the marine life is affected here by, fishermen, or how, I mean, the whole ecosystem, basically?
It is, yeah. I mean, we've come out here with Spot, and the turtle bycatch is something which we are looking at. So hopefully when we do pull up a turtle with a net and it's still alive, we can then take our samples, take our data, tag it and re-release it. But it's also drawing in on a number of different, as you say, elements of the ecosystem. We're looking at the fish populations, the dolphin and fisherman interaction, and hopefully you're going to try and, the aim is in the long run to get some sort of system in place where the dolphins are impacting the fishermen as little as the fishermen are impacting the dolphins.
I never knew we had such an amazing wild, marine life out there, because mentioning dolphins and mentioning sharks, I mean, it's always in the paper if you see a shark, or, a shark was sighted, or unfortunately maybe a shark, died and was, washed up on the shore. But we actually do have dolphins and sharks off the coast of Cyprus, don't we?
Yeah. There's some incredible marine life around here. There really is. There's also a lot of marine life coming in from other areas, so that's another aspect of what we're looking at, invasive species and how those species might then interrupt the ecosystem balance here as well.
Why is there a change? Is it, a global shift? Is it global warming? Is it changing the temperatures of the seas? Or, these dolphins and sharks trying to find food for other locations? What's the change? I mean, there must be some reason for all this shift.
There's a multitude of reasons that will all come into some sort of contact of the whole kind of change as you're talking about. One of the things which has actually been brought up when talking to fishermen, local fishermen actually, not all of them, but some of them are of the opinion that the fish population has been fished to such an extent, it's depleted over time so much that is why their fish hauls are smaller, and consequently species such as dolphins and what have you are competing with the fishermen for their food now. Yeah,
and that was the subject of Robbins's article about competing, dolphins and the fishermen competing for the food that is left in the sea. And of course, being on the Mediterranean island with, lots of restaurants out there which serve fish, the number of fishermen and the number of restaurants is increasing year by year. And of course, it's a livelihood for many people.
Yeah.
And this is the result, isn't it, I suppose, at the end of the day? I don't know what's going to happen, but maybe you can find a solution to this problem.
It's not just a case of local artisanal fisheries in this area having an impact. There are large trawling vessels coming from much further afield, and with little legislation in place, they're kind of not doing what they want, but they aren't really answering for any mistakes which they might be making, or if they're taking too much, and it's having an impact on smaller scale fisheries around the island for sure.
Yeah. Amie, coming back to you now, you've been very patient listening to us talking about the fisheries and everything, but you're here today in the capacity of Kuşkol, which is, Robin is passionate about both sport and Kuşkol. He's involved with both societies, and we have a really good society under the umbrella of Kuşkol, which is protection of birds and nature. And so what's your involvement with the birds? I know when you came to speak with Denise, you were doing some research, you were going out into the fields, spotting the birds, bird watching.
Everything.
Tell us a bit about your work here in the TRNC.
Well, we've been doing wetland bird surveys. So every month we've been I think there's about 24 different wetlands in the north of Cyprus. So we've been going there and monitoring how many species are there and how many of each species. And that does change quite a lot with migration and everything. So it's quite nice to see. If you're here for long enough, you can see the changes, so that's nice. And we have to keep an eye on that because of different threats to wetland species, so invasive species and habitat degradation and hunting. So we've been monitoring that, and we've also been doing bird ringing as well at wetland sites, which is another way to monitor birds. So we can, if we retrap them, we know if they've stayed for a number of years or whatever. And then more recently, we've been doing breeding bird surveys, and we do that twice a year, and that's just to see how important Cyprus is for breeding birds, because Cyprus is quite an important island. I think there's around 400 species in Cyprus of bird, and there's 2 endemics, but there's a third one now. There's a Scops owl now, which is endemic to Cyprus. And it's important for migrating birds because, I mean, swallows and things come all the way from South Africa. So Cyprus is a brilliant island in the middle of the sea, so when they're tired they can stop, regain the strength and then carry on. So it's it's great, and it's nice to monitor them and see the changes, and yeah, it's been nice.
Is this something that you're passionate about personally yourself, bird watching, and so it's something nice for you to be here on the island with such a great variety of birds? I mean, talking about birds liking Cyprus, I mean, even the humans throughout history have liked Cyprus as a location. So many civilizations have come and conquered. It must be such a great location in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. But so you've been here for a while to see the birds, tagging them, a bit like how you first started tagging the turtles, and to see whether they return again to the island. I mean, we had flamingos before, and now you've got, I mean, have you seen an amazing amount of species coming onto the island on and off over the months? It's
been brilliant. I mean, the other day I took a man out with another volunteer, Robin, and he wanted to go on a bird guide tour thing, and we saw loads, and it was really nice because he'd been to Cyprus once, but he wasn't really into birds then, and he was really chuffed with the amount of birds he'd seen, and he was saying how he really wants to come back because the bird life is amazing. And you get all sorts, like, flamingos, which are just crazy, but then, loads of tiny warblers and all sorts, wildfowl and birds of prey. The eagles, Benelli's eagles, they're important here, and so it's really nice. And we've got a lot of linking kind of with the fisheries. We make a note of any seabirds we see, and we've actually done a project to eradicate rats from an island off of Karpaz, and it was a really important breeding colony for Ordwin's gulls. So we've got rid of the rats, so hopefully they'll come back and breed again. So that was another side project that we've done. So
the gulls were not going back to the island because of the rats?
Yeah.
And now you got rid of the rats, hopefully the gulls will come back?
Yeah. It's the easternmost point for them in terms of where they breed. So if we lost them from Cyprus, their range would restrict a lot. So us doing this will hopefully help them, and they'll hopefully come back.
So are you trekking across the island? I mean, you've got so much terrain. I know that you are looking at wetlands, but also when you're talking about birds of prey, aren't they up in the mountains more often than not? So are you trekking around? Yeah,
we're here, there and everywhere. We're literally all over. And our scope. We're all over the place. Like one day we'll be in Karpaz, the next day we'll be over in Lefker, and you can't get rid of us. We're everywhere.
But we don't want to get rid of you at all. You're doing a great job. So are you both based at Allegady then?
Yeah.
Is that where you are now? And I know that the season, the turtle season is starting, isn't it, soon? Or have they come, the students, yet for the...
No, it's mid-May.
They're coming at the start. The first volunteers and the project leader for the summer turtle project will come out in the first week of May. So I think I'll still be here when they get here, so there'll be a bit of a crossover period, which will be quite nice.
Right. And so will you be leaving then at that point? Or
potentially, it depends on what sort of opportunities come up for me in the UK.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking with Robin at the moment about what there is out here, and then obviously what there is in the UK.
Yeah.
So
and then you'll be weighing up the pros and cons of each offer that you get. And
well, the work out here is incredible, and
really,
the location's beautiful. Learning a new language, learning the culture is something which I absolutely adore, and to be out here, I find, I really enjoy it, and I find myself very blessed to be out here, but financially it can be a bit of a strain with regards to these sort of projects. Once they become a bit more of a, once you can get a paid position and what have you in the project, it's a lot easier to stay longer.
Yeah.
Basically.
So talking about the culture, that's quite interesting to find somebody who's interested in the culture, because you're here, for a certain amount of time, then you go back and forth. You're obviously, you're British and your heart is there. But are you trying to get? I mean, Ryan is the lucky one. He found a Turkish wife, and so did Wayne Fuller, and I think a few other people. But I mean, do you now that you're here for the third time, are you getting more involved with the locals here? Obviously, you're meeting the fishermen, so you're speaking with them.
Yeah, I mean, my second time out here, I spent 5 months out in Agdenes. So I was running the small spot satellite base out there. Quite a remote location, and our closest point of contact was a small Turkish village where we obviously mingled with the locals quite a bit, and I did learn as much Turkish as I could.
Yeah.
There was a beautiful little coffee house which I used to take the volunteers to. We'd have coffee and ice cream, and I'd play backgammon with the owner, Errol, who became a very dear friend of mine. And so I tried to learn as much of the culture and as much of the language as I could then. I wish I'd been able to carry it on for the last 3 years, because I think I'd be able to appreciate it more, but I forgot most of the language, and so now I'm kind of learning again. But going out with a lot of the fishermen from the smaller villages, quite a number of them speak limited English, so it's really forcing me to dig deep and try and
learn the language. But it's a good thing. I mean, it's really nice to try and get into the community. I mean, I know that you said that your mother has been living here. Yeah. And so, you probably know Cyprus a bit better than maybe other newcomers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not totally new for you to be out here. But, Cyprus is a place where you either, gel with it and you go with it, or it's something that, you can stick for a while and then, you want to carry on. But you guys seem to enjoy it here. And is it challenging for you mentally to be here and to learn? Are you learning a lot about what you want to research about, the fisheries? Is it good to be with the fishermen, to learn about what they're doing, to find out the marine life? I mean, is it fruitful for you to be here, to do your research here?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the work which we're doing here and being so close to the artisanal fishery population, it's invaluable. Learning how they feel about what's going on. We've had some fishermen who are very passionately advocating that they believe there should be legislation in place where fisheries are prohibited for maybe a year within the first 50 meters or 100 meters from the coast, just to try and allow the fish population to actually replenish itself, because quite often what they're finding is the nets which they're using, yes, they are fantastic for the target species, but there is bycatch in the sense of other fish which they're not intending to catch. So when you've got a lot of fisheries, a lot of fishing activity going on in the shallower waters which are closer to the shore, you tend to encounter quite a lot of the spawning populations and spawning aggregations of these different species. So the long-term effects of continuous fishing without any sort of limitations can be quite catastrophic, really. So
very interesting to learn. I mean, we don't really know about this, living on the islands, all this scientific research going on. And I think, you guys, in particular, putting Cyprus on the international map when it comes to, scientific research and what's going on. And for you, Amie, I mean, all the research you're doing here about the birds, I mean, there could be a negative side. We don't want to go into hunting, but obviously that's a popular sport here at certain times of the year. And that's something that, a lot of people are sort of like, saying enough now. There aren't any birds left in the mountains or in the in the wild to hunt anymore. Is that something that you are facing? Is that something that you've researched on and thinking that maybe we should be tackling here? Is that an issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard with trying to crack down on stopping it happening. Obviously, if we see any signs of it, then we can try, like illegal hunting, we can try and stop that. But there are hunting days here, and people use mist nets to get birds, smaller birds, and eat them and things. So they're quite crafty and they can hide quite well. So we need to try and keep on top of it. But there are people doing that, and and hopefully there'll be legislation soon to try and stop that, because like I said before, cypress is really important for so many bird species migrating, so it can, at this time of year as well, with them breeding and things, it can really affect populations. So hopefully things will get sorted.
Do you think bird watching is special interest tourism for North Cyprus? You mentioned about the guy coming over again, you took him out on a walk and everything, bird watching trip, and he's very interested. Is that something that's building up now over time, that people coming over to the island of Cyprus just to see, to bird watch?
I mean, one reason Robbo's not been able to come today is because he's so busy. Him and Damla have been taking different groups out at different parts of the island to do birding tours, but they've also been involved in people coming over from the UK to do bird ringing, because you get different species, so it's good experience. There's different university groups that come, so yeah, I think it's brilliant. If you're into birds, Cyprus is a really good place, because there's all sorts, you can get some good ticks on your list for your life list, but yeah, no, it's good. And even these guys, like, I'll try and point some species out that they might not see in the UK, and they get into it. So
you're learning from Amie then, are you, about the birds?
Yeah, no, genuinely, she's getting me a little bit hooked on it, to be honest, because I'd never really appreciated just how diverse and how incredible, particularly the smaller birds, which we've been looking at a lot, really are. And once I kind of made the link in my mind that personally I think birds, they're representative, for example, fish in the ocean, you get such a wide and diverse array of species, and they're all so incredible to look at and incredible to experience and appreciate. I really started to get into it, and we did an eagle nest survey as well, so went to a certain particular locations to just have a look at the nests and whether or not they're active and whether or not they're being used. And it was genuinely humbling I didn't see a single eagle, just the nests, and I was over the actual moon. It was beautiful.
Very nice, very good. I mean, once you get involved with things like this, it becomes a passion. It becomes more than just, a job. It becomes your whole life, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm sure whilst you're out and about, even just relaxing, look at that, and look at this. And it must be amazing to be out there. You see, Cyprus in a different way.
Yeah.
We just appreciate nature for what it is, but you see it more in depth than what's going on. And obviously, it's interesting. I know that there are lots of birdwatching weekends being organised throughout the year. I know that in May we have the big birdwatching weekend, which is taking everyone to the Carpaths for a weekend break and everything. I think that's on the 5th and 6th of May. So it is quite a popular thing, isn't it? I mean, do you have lots of locals or expats here living who join you on these walks, do you know? Yeah,
I mean, within Kushkor there's a lot of people who say what they've seen, so they'll write on the group, I've seen such and such in this place. So it's quite nice because it's like a community and everyone responds, and if you're struggling with an identification of a certain species, like the larks can look quite similar, so everyone gets involved and says that their opinions, and gulls are really hard to ID, so people give their opinions, and it's really nice. And yeah, there's a lot of expats who are involved. I went out with a guy called Doug who comes over every now and then, and he was lovely and he gave me some identification tips, and it's just nice to see different people, and even people that aren't that into birds, but they might see a new species and think, oh wow. Like I remember we went on a Kushkor trip a couple of months ago, and there was one lady who saw a black-winged still, and she loved it. She thought it was amazing. So it's just nice, and it's nice seeing people excited about the same things as you. So.
And you've got people, obviously, not just walking around with binoculars or, the telescopes, but with their cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Taking wildlife photographs. Of birds.
Gosh, we've got, some really good photographers in Cyprus. I know one guy called Olkan.
Yeah,
you know Olkan. I go out with him sometimes, and he's always got his camera. And sometimes we just sit really silent in the car with his army mesh over the window, so we're camouflaged, waiting. But yeah, so that's nice because you get some really nice photos, and it means that locals who maybe aren't bird watchers but love nature photography they can post their photos, and then that's another record for us. You know, we can say, oh, so they saw that at Famagusta, or you know.
Because it's quite popular now. I mean, everyone's got their cameras. Everyone is, you know, trying to go back to nature, taking pictures of flowers and birds and you know, reptiles, amphibians, or whatever they see out there. So, and again, with Kushkor's site, people can then share. And maybe you know you think, oh wow, I didn't know that bird was here, or haven't seen that one for a long time, or populations are growing for this bird. But do you have your own little reference book then? Are you out with your book and you know, or I mean, because obviously you can't know every species. It's like every species of fish. I mean, you can't you don't know every fish out there. Obviously, you know what there is in the Mediterranean. But I mean, I never knew that there were sharks out there. I mean, you hear about them, but you don't really realise that. Unfortunately, there is also shark meat available in some locations, and we don't want to talk about that because they're endangered species. But you know, this is quite unusual. That you know, or not unusual, but we are learning from each other, aren't we? Here, and bringing to highlight some of the critical things that we should be discussing. You know, about endangered birds, endangered species of marine life. You know, whether it's fish or whether it's sharks. Dolphins. I mean, are you educating each other all together and educating the locals as well about this?
Yeah, I mean, like Sab was saying before about the birds, I was a bit ignorant about what fish there were, I suppose, and I've been out on the boats with them, and it's amazing. They are so beautiful. You don't think of fish as being beautiful, but they really are. And with regards to like sharks and things, I had no idea there was so many different types of shark. I mean, when I was on one of the boats with one of the previous volunteers, Matt, we caught an angel shark, which I think was meant to be extinct in this part of the ocean.
It's not doing too well.
Yeah. And it was so weird looking, but it was amazing. And I didn't even know there was anything like that. So it's great, and you can hear, like, I'll go out and I'll say, so why is that different to that fish? Like, it'll be similar, but there's a really subtle difference, and they'll go, oh, well, look at this, and I'm like, oh, okay. So it's really interesting.
It is interesting. You're learning off each other, aren't you? I think here, you know, you're teaching about the birds, you're teaching about the fish, and it's good if everyone, you know, learns. That's the most important thing. And of course, for us, you know, outside, we're watching you doing all this work, and it's really very interesting and very important what you're doing. You know, we make it sound like fun. It is probably fun, but most of the time it's probably tiring. A lot of hard work, running around, driving, you know, across the island. You know. Sam's going, yes.
There's long days.
Getting up early, going out with the fishermen. Do you dive at all? Do you actually go? I mean, are you interested in diving in, seeing the fish? And
absolutely. Yeah. So I've got some diving qualifications, and I have dived scientifically in the Maldives as well. And I desperately want to go diving here. There's not just scientifically. I'd quite like to do recreational dives because there's a couple of wrecks which I want to go and see, but. With regards to the work that we're doing, one of the aspects of the dolphin research is we have these devices called sea pods, and they are submersed with the nets, and they listen for sonar and dolphin clicks. So we can then isolate the noise which they record whilst they're underwater, and we can actually, using the software which comes with it, you can work out how often the dolphins were actually present around the net. So using this, we can see if the net comes up and there was a dolphin around it, you can see what sort of damage is being done. One of the things which we're hoping to do with that is to get some sea pods statically submerged, so not on the nets, not moving around, just in one place, and see what sort of dolphin activity there is. Then use some devices called pingers, which we are trying to bring into play at the moment, which essentially they deter dolphins from coming near the nets. So we'll then attach those to the same area that the sea pod is, where it's a static hold, and hopefully what we'll find is for the period where there are no pingers, you will have dolphin activity. For the period where there are pingers, at least you'd have reduced dolphin activity. And so if we could then have this sort of conclusive sort of evidence, we can then start using these with regards to the fishing nets, because when the dolphins come and when they are eating the fish from the nets, they quite often tear the nets. And financially, it's a big strain on these small-scale fishermen. So any kind of measures which we can put into place that will deter the dolphins from coming up to their nets. One, you'll get a better haul, they'd get a better haul rather, and two, the dolphin population would be under less threats from being in such close proximity to fishermen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there any location in North Cyprus where, you know, let's say Joe Public out there wants to see a dolphin, and we've got lots of different people cruising up and down, you know, got the boats where you have it fun. I mean, are they certain distance away from the shore? Is it up in the Carpaths, Guinea coast, east coast, west coast, or are they everywhere?
They're hugely mobile creatures, and so they are literally everywhere. One of the initiatives that Robin's putting into place is a small sticker which they are getting printed up in Turkish, which we're hoping to go around the different fishing ports and get the fishermen to put these on their boats. And all it is just a bit of information if they were to see or to catch sea turtles, dolphins, sharks, if they see birds, because sometimes they get entangled in the nets also. If they are to see any of these kind of creatures, to take photographs if they can, take GPS coordinates if they can, and then send that information to Robin or to Damla and start to build up a database much wider than we could do with our research, because with a small team it's quite difficult to be in as many places as you need to be. So if the local fishing population were able to get involved with that, it would be an aspect, a citizen science aspect, which would really benefit, and it would really contribute to the data set which we're collecting.
It's fascinating stuff, really, and we don't really know what goes on in all this research, but now you're making it clear for everyone here. And again, you know, as I said before, there is so much we can learn from you, but what can the public out there do? I mean, okay, we're talking to the English-speaking public now, and of course lots of expats are coming over for the summer and will go and support Spot with the Turtle Project and watching the turtles, you know, lay their eggs, and later on in the year we've got the hatchlings coming out and watching them. It's all very nice and very cute, and but it's very, very serious. Is there anything that we can do? Do we need to educate the youngsters? Should we be more, you know, protective of the environment, take away our mess, don't pollute the seas, don't pollute the beaches? I mean, what can we do as public out there to support your research and make it a better location for all these wonderful creatures that we have in the world?
I mean, I think a major problem everywhere is plastic.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it looks awful, but I mean, we see enough on beaches and we see enough in turtles and things if they've washed up. You know, there's seabirds and things that will have plastic in. And I guess working so close with fishery stuff, you can't even imagine how much is actually in the sea. So I guess, education is so important, and not just for little ones, you know, for everyone, to get it out there how bad it is and what little change you can do that will snowball into making bigger changes and all for the better. Just spreading the word, really.
So,
one great thing which I think would be super beneficial, populations just around the island, you can organise beach cleans and things like that, and we do understand that it's not all from Cyprus. It's very unfortunate that a lot of the waste is washed up from a lot of different countries.
Yeah.
But when the plastic is exposed to the UV radiation for so long, it becomes brittle and breaks down. And once it breaks down to small enough pieces, it gets ingested into the food which we then eat. So it's in everybody's best interests. If you're at the beach, pick up, you know, a bag full every time you're there. Definitely take your own rubbish away. If you're out on the boats, be it fishing, be it any sort of recreational activities, have a bin.
Yeah.
You know, don't chuck cigarette butts, don't chuck bottle caps, don't throw anything into the water that shouldn't already be there.
Yeah.
What you take away with you, and it's such a small change, such a small thing to do, but if everybody would get involved in this, it would make a huge difference.
Definitely, and I think lots of people out there are aware now. We've got lots of beach cleanup campaigns going on throughout the year. You know, locals who are into, you know, doing this and going on every now and then, going along, especially the Allegany area, which is quite you know, popular. You know, free beaches, which means that everyone goes there. So these certain areas where the turtles are nesting need to be protected, need to be clean.
Yes.
As you say, very simple measures, but you know, sometimes. You know, I can see people driving in the car and chucking out rubbish in the main road. So
Yeah.
please, 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 you know, very serious note here that do take away your rubbish if you are going to the beach or anywhere in the wild out there. But so, I know that you have a blog, Amie. Denise,
Yeah.
my colleague, Denise Phillips, said to me, oh, ask Amie about her blog. And are you, on that blog on the internet, are you actually sharing about what's going on here on the island as well?
Yeah, so the blog, I actually started it when I moved to Poland, when I started my PhD, and it was mainly for my family to see what I was up to, because it was a whole new life for me. And since then, I've not actually stopped. I've hardly been in the UK. I'm just never there. But yeah, so I talk about what we're doing at the project. Yeah, all the random things. And sometimes I can dedicate a post to plastic. I did one on plastic because I was horrified and I needed to vent. But yeah, so I just talk about Sleepy House and the goat shed and everyone there. So yeah.
And is it good fun? I mean, you guys are enjoying yourselves here, and you're back. You both have links to Cyprus now, you know, after returning again and again. But anyone watching online to this programme, maybe abroad, if they are offered the opportunity to come to North Cyprus to be involved in the project, would you say to them, definitely take the opportunity to come out here and do some research?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, even in winter,
Yeah.
you know, it's like... it was amazing. I mean, it was a bit rainy, but it was still quite warm, and we'd have a fire at night and stuff, so it was really nice. But it's amazing, and you know, you can drive down in the morning, and on one side of you there's the sea, and then there's the mountains on the other side, and I don't know, it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean,
Despite the basic living conditions, you're still enjoying it. And,
Yeah.
and Sav, what would you like to say?
I was just going to say, even if you can't necessarily come out on a project, come out and see the island. Just come out and experience this beautiful place. Genuinely, I'd say that.
Yeah. And again, you know, lots of students who do apply get the chance to come out here. Maybe it's one opportunity, maybe they return again and again. And
Yeah.
we do have the season coming along, so I'm sure the goat shed is now being, you know, cleaned up soon, getting ready for... or will you be doing the cleaning? Are you going to be... Are you
I might escape.
You're going to run away, aren't you, before any work has to be done? But
Yeah.
we've got a good season, hopefully. And all this research that has been done over the years, it is actually making a difference. We are having a great increase in, you know, populations of, you know, obviously up and down over the years. But it's, you know, now tagging turtles. We are doing more research when it comes to the fish, to the birds.
Yeah.
So Cyprus has become quite a big hub of, you know, scientific research, hasn't it?
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
past few years. It's a good place to be here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, yeah, you can come, and in the space of a week, well, depending on the time of year, you could see dolphins maybe if you're on a boat trip, turtles, hatchlings, you know, if it's that time of year, amazing birds, donkeys if you go to the Carpaths. You know, it's brilliant. And I mean, we've been going to some of the castles and stuff as well, and things like that, and there's amazing birds up there. So we went to Buffavento and Cantara, and the views are insane from there. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
So in a positive light, you know, things looking good.
Yes.
After all the time that you've been here, during the winter, as you say, here in Cyprus. And do you think you'll come back again? I mean, I know that you're very busy with your PhD and everything at the moment.
Yeah.
But are you happy with the results that you've got here? Is it contributing to your final thesis and your research?
Yeah, I mean, for me, coming here was mainly because I love Cyprus, and Robbo and Damla do so much work, and if I can help them in any way, then that's great. And I guess because of my connection with this part of the world, I want to stay involved. You know, Kushkor is important to me, so it's just been really nice to do more for it, I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so, what's the name of your blog? If anyone wants to see what you're doing, any ranting going on, or any wonderful news you want to share, what's the name of the blog?
It's Amie in Real Life, but you spell my name, my parents are weird, and they spelt my name A-M-I-E.
Yes.
So it's Amie in real life.
Right, so
Yes.
Amie in real life.
Yes.
And also, Kushkor, you know, you are very busy, and I know that in the local papers they do share when they've got any events coming up, any bird watching trips.
Yeah.
But is there a sort of is there a Kushkor website that people can?
Yeah, there's a Kushkor website. There's also a Facebook page, a new Instagram account,
Right.
And there's a Twitter. So we're everywhere. So
social
depending on
media is
which you
covered.
like, you know, you'll find us. And similar for Spot, they have a Facebook too.
Yeah, Spot's got quite an established Facebook page, which not only is it used to broadcast news, broadcast news to what we're doing, but also is quite useful in the sense that if anyone was to find an injured turtle or a sadly dead turtle in northern Cyprus, then they can post photographs and post a location on the Facebook group, and we can then go and hopefully, if it can be saved, save it. If not, then take it and take samples and do a bit of research on it and then dispose of it. But it's a wonderful way for everyone to stay connected. And the Kushkor one, you know, the photos which people put up there are absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know, I personally quite like the idea of, instead of going and, you know, for example, hunting and taking away a trophy in the form of, you know, a hide or a head, do exactly the same thing, but shooting with a camera and trying to come away with the trophy of the, you know, the best photograph or the most rare species or what have you. It's just a different way of thinking about it, which I think would be very beneficial, and it's shared a lot on the Kushkor one.
That is such a great idea, you know, shooting not with a gun but with a camera. And a lot of people do enjoy that. I mean, I do see a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine on social media who are interested in nature photography in particular, who are taking the birds and, you know, everything, you know, whatever flies, whatever moves, or even, you know, the plants, the flowers, you know, it's such a beautiful array of, you know, and nature's so beautiful here, especially in springtime. And we've got a great summer lined up. I mean, you know, we've had lots of festivals with tulips, we've got orchid festivals, you know, lots of things going on. So there is so much to do. Get rid of the gun and get the camera out instead. But are you positive for the future, Jason? I mean, do you think that we are in the right direction here? Because we need to educate. You know, fishermen are doing it out there for their livelihood, but, you know, if they are taught to fish properly, or to take a break from a certain area, or to just, you know, learn about being one with nature, with the turtles and everything, are we in the right direction, do you think?
Absolutely. And it's not necessarily even just a case of fishermen having to be told when and where they can fish. If the fishermen were to collaborate amongst themselves sometimes, and if they know that a certain area where you get high spawning aggregations, to steer clear of it in certain months, because the knowledge that these guys have is astounding. These guys know exactly where they need to go, they know exactly what they're going to get, they know the waters which they fish inside out, and to utilize their knowledge and their experience to try and boost the fish populations, I think it would just be absolutely phenomenal,
Well, I'm getting excited thinking about all this research, and I'm sure you guys are really excited about being part of the projects here, and you're doing such a great job. I want to say thank you very much for coming in today. And it wasn't quite what you expected. Maybe you were thinking of being out there in the field. Maybe I should have been out there with my cameras. You know, the idea is to educate everyone out there about what's going on. Great things going on the island of Cyprus, especially in the north, and you guys have taken the time out today from your hard work to sit in here in the boring blue, or I don't know,
it's cool.
very static studio here. But you know, it's much appreciated. And give my regards back to Robin, to Robbo and Dumla, and to all the other guys working hard. I wish you all a great time on the island while you're still here with your research, and hopefully all that you're doing is going to be beneficial for everyone, for your research here, and also for the wildlife on the island of Cyprus. And thank you very much for being with us today. Thanks a lot, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's been fantastic. It's been interesting. Take care. And with that, with a deep breath, I say thank you for watching our programme, and thank you to Amie Wheeldon and to Jason Sav, for coming in today, and to Robin Snape for bringing everyone together. And next time, Robin, you will be here in the studio. But until we meet again, have a great week. Bye-bye.